Hello everyone and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program with Realism Overhaul and Real Solar System. In the comments to my video on the Artemis 3 Blue Origin version, the Falieti commented, can you create a two-stage super heavy booster upper stage with one or two Raptor vacuums which carries everything to the moon in one go? And I said I'd consider it, but I don't think that particular configuration would do the trick. I've instead tried to just go straight to what I think would work. And when we say everything to the moon in one go, we mean, of course, the Orion spacecraft plus a lander. And in this case, the only viable lander would be the Blue Origin Blue Moon Mark II. So we have that tucked in there. And then after that, we have a stage with Sierra Nevada's VR35K-A's. These are the most efficient Hydrolox engines that I know of in development. They get 155.7 kilonewtons, so they're basically souped up RL10s, except they're staged combustion, which means they're physically smaller by a bit because they have more chamber pressure. And so there's a Hydrolox stage, not a Raptor vacuum stage, and it's going to be responsible for finishing orbit, transferring us to the moon, and maybe capturing us around the moon, or we'll let the lander handle that part. We'll have to see. So it's going to be a Super Centaur stage, if you will. And it's 212 tons, so it's pretty darn super. And then we have a truncated Starship stage. This is just with the normal 3 vacuum engines, 3 sea level engines, and in this case it's 1,110 tons as opposed to the full 1,300 to 1,500 because we're using 200-ish for that bit. So we've taken that out, and then the payload is 92 tons altogether. So we've cut that out, but otherwise that ends up with the burden on the Super Heavy being about the same. Now, this Super Heavy is currently featuring the Raptor 2 engines, not the Raptor 3 engines. So we can expect better performance with the Raptor 3 engines. I have meticulously ensured that the Starship-ish stage has 4 minutes and 20 seconds of burn time so that Elon will agree to this. And hopefully that'll work out for us. It's not 420 seconds, but that would be pushing it. Okay, well, I'm gonna try and get this back together again, and then we are going to launch and see what goes wrong. Clearly, I can't judge the Delta V over there right now because we've got the tower attached and the tower mass is throwing things off, and also there's the hot staging thing that throws things off. So we will have to see. And I am pushing the VR35K-A engines from Sierra Nevada a bit hard in that they're burning for 24 minutes with a really low thrust-to-weight ratio. Perhaps we could go with the Blue Origin BE3Us, but they're much less efficiency and much heavier. And another option would be just the RL10s again. So those are things we can do. Now, I don't think we're gonna get all the I don't even know if this version I have in this install has all the frost effect stuff. So I hope Pekka will excuse me. This is Pekka's version of the Super Heavy, and I think maybe we have an old version here, I'm not sure. But let's see, I'm just going to try to get it into orbit with enough to transfer to the moon. That's the goal here. Boy, is it tall. Okay, first I need to make sure that no KOS script is running, because sometimes that happens automatically with Pekka's Starship and Super Heavy, but no. We're going to launch this manually. I'm going to try to reserve fuel for the Super Heavy recovery and ignore the space shuttle stuff there. All right, so here we go. Throttle is up, and well, I'll go with SAS is on, and ignition, and go. Well, that's what it'll look like. Off it goes. tall, thin rocket. But then again, they want to make a tall, thin rocket out of it, right? They're gotta stretch it. We're past the speed of sound. Well, I'm not got a really hot stage. Oh, I didn't want to release the fairings though. Oh well. Those are supposed to still stay on there. Well, this is obviously expendable, so whatever. Off goes the launch escape system. Now we're probably reading our correct delta V there. It's still complicated because of how the lander and Orion are. Obviously, we should probably just have one of the sea levels and maybe 6 of the vacuums. That might help. Well, there's a lot to ask out of this stage. I don't think we're gonna make it. Alright, staging. I mean, we're talking about we need another 1,800. Let's just see how well it can burn. We've only got about 3 minutes to apoapsis, and we've got a 24-minute burn time. But I think it should be able to deliver enough in time. But we need 1,800, and that does not leave this with enough to transfer to the moon. So even with these very efficient Hydrolox engines here, and, you know, we really can't get anything too much better, we're falling a little bit short here if we're carrying the Blue Moon Mark II plus the Orion spacecraft. So we might have to expend Super Heavy if you want to launch it all in one go. After all, Saturn V, which had 2 Hydrolox upper stages, carried potentially 45 tons to the moon. That was its rated amount. So 45 tons on translunar injection. This is trying to carry 92 tons. Now, Saturn V on the pad was 3,000 tons. Super Heavy on the pad, this version, is 5,000 tons. So it's not quite double, but it's trying to push double over to the moon. Now we've got, these are a lot more efficient than the J2 engines, so that's good. But then our second stage is methane and oxygen, which is not as efficient as the J2 engines. And then our first stage, the Super Heavy stage, is more efficient than the S1C. So we've got a better first stage, not as good second stage, better third stage. And it sort of ends up evening out, so we probably would need a 6,000 ton rocket. So maybe a lengthened version of Super Heavy with the souped up Raptor 3 engines. And then we could do it and still recover Super Heavy, or we can just expend Super Heavy. Well, I'm gonna fizz warp, and we're gonna allow this to come down. We're already pretty high. I tossed it higher up, anticipating that this would need some help here. We had about 800 meters per second left in Super Heavy, so we can assume that is an amount that could have been used. Well, I'm gonna end a little lopsided on this one. Okay, we've made orbit, at least by real solar system standards, and we're about 600 short of transfer to the moon with this stage. So let's go and see what we can do. Of course, probably the ideal thing to do would be to slap a whole bunch of BE3Us on the second stage and turn it into a Hydrolox stage. But let's say we're going to keep it as a Starship stage, and we're going to upgrade the engines at the bottom. I'm not going to extend the tank yet, but I'm going to upgrade the engines down here to be Raptor 3s so they get more thrust. And they're not really lighter though, so that's not the same. And then I am going to change up the second stage so that it has more vacuum engines and just one sea level engine for control. Alright, one more try for this idea. There are endless variations, of course, but We're just gonna give this one more go. And ignition. And go. Alright, I think we're climbing faster than I expected because of the high thrust weight ratio now. Okay, reserving roughly the same as last time. Launch escape system. Well, I'm not seeing a ton of benefit right now. We probably need a longer Super Heavy or something. I mean, we're just way overshooting, so we probably needed to lose some of these engines. We probably did need 6. Since they're also Raptor 3s. Okay. I suppose they probably would jettison the fairings around the service module as well. Well, if we could have. They sort of haven't jettisoned properly because of these fairings probably were in the way. Well, let's get rid of these too. There, be free fairings. Well, we'll see. Alright, well, we're still short by about 200, but I think if I had optimized the trajectory a little bit better, I could have made it. And right now our apoapsis is high, so if it turned out that we were actually in line with the moon properly, you know, it might not have costed as much. So, yeah, this is tough. And it's tough because we don't have the Hydrolox second stage that the Saturn V had. Right now, the Super Heavy is not as heavy as it needs to be in order to get 92 tons over to the moon. And so these things conspire to make it difficult for us to fulfill this mission. But if we expended Super Heavy, we would be able to get enough Delta V. And if we decide to change the second stage to something with Hydrolox, we could probably get enough Delta V, but then the tank would have to be much bigger than 9 meters. We don't want to make it that tall, so we probably need a 12-meter diameter tank for the second stage, which would be icky. So, sticking with the Methalox second stage is probably for the best, just for the shape of the rocket, and in that case, then expending Super Heavy is likely. And otherwise, maybe we can squeeze more out of this stage, but it's already 24 minutes, so we're gonna need like 8 engines on here and it's gonna get rough. But anyway, that's how it shapes up. I don't think we could have done this with a single Raptor vacuum on this stage, because these are at 465 seconds of ISP, and a Raptor vacuum can only get 370-ish, so we're not going to be able to manage it. We need Hydrolox for this to work out. So, yeah, that's about the size of it. Of course, if you had a smaller lander, that would be a different thing. But this is the lander. There's the smallest lander that they've got planned. So, of course, we could potentially use a little bit of the Blue Moon to help get us over there, like the 200 meters per second, and then another 200 meters per second to capture. And then we would have to hope that it still has enough to get to the surface and then get back up to Orion to get back. With enough optimization, I think I could manage it. If right now I've got this as the default aluminum gridded tank. If we had like a aluminum lithium tank or something like that, we could do it. I made sure that the second stage was a steel stir welded tank like they're supposed to have. So that procedural tank was set to steel and everything. So, you know, we could cut some here and there, potentially drop the fairings earlier. I mean, this looks like it's fit pretty snugly on top of here. That's not a big problem. I don't know how well the adapter would fit on top of the Blue Moon, but we've got that service module adapter there. And so that's a whole business. But I'll save working out the entire mission for a later date, because that's something that I want to do in a more epic style rather than do it with this analysis style. So I'll work out all the details, the trajectory, the optimal staging, and we'll try and do it in a more cinematic fashion in a later video. So with that, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please do press like. If you have any comments or suggestions, please leave them in the comment section below, and I'll see you next time.